We got told not to start a podcast, so obviously we did it anyway.
Obviously.
I'm Big Tuna.
And I'm the Squid, right here live in the coach's basement. I think it's time for our warm-up segment.
And this is going exactly how you thought it would go.
Exactly.
Let's talk about our last guest real quick. Denise.
Oh, wasn't she amazing?
She really was. Yeah.
I loved her, yeah.
I was truly inspired when she talked. I think it was so amazing. Just the takeaway that I had was do it afraid.
Do it afraid.
And,
absolutely.
I mean, there was so much power in that.
Which
right?
goes back to what we were just saying. We did it anyway.
Yeah, you got to do it anyway, right?
Anyway, that's right.
Do it afraid, do it anyway. There's a lot of power in that, and I think a lot of growth can come from those situations as well.
Absolutely. And to see her talk about her journey and being able to dive in the deep end now and do some amazing things. So
that was such a neat thing for her to share. That was one of her biggest accomplishments in life, really. And I was like, wow, like something we can take for granted quite often. You know, we're around the pool a lot. So sometimes I think it's important to remember, you know, some things we may find easy aren't so easy for everybody.
I think we learn something at every step and every level. And I think we need to celebrate those.
Oh, yeah.
And
celebrate the little victories,
we celebrate
right?
the little victories.
Yeah, you need to.
And remember to take, practice intentionally, seriously.
A little more intentional.
Yeah.
There's
like when there's
a
plank on.
Yeah, I don't know about the planks so much, but I am getting a little more proficient at them.
10 50s on the 45?
Yeah, whatever. 6, 8, why not?
Anyway, I had a PE teacher one time tell me, he was great. He said, I'm sorry, I'm going to say it wrong. I just did. Practice does not make perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said, perfect practice makes perfect.
Oh, wow.
I know.
Yeah, that sounds a little intimidating.
It was quite intimidating because I'm just learning how to play dodgeball, in PE. But I think he's right, though, because if we continue to practice bad habits or incorrect form, maybe that leads to things like injury.
That's a good takeaway from that. Sure, I've fallen victim to doing something the wrong way, and
haven't we all?
Yeah, and then having it go horribly awry, and I think my mom can probably attest to that as well.
But I'm excited because today we have George Edelman with us to talk about injury prevention.
Yeah, and I am so excited to talk with George. I think he's got a wealth of knowledge. What else do we want to talk about with George?
Oh, probably dryland.
I think so too.
We all need some good dryland. Yep.
Well, there was one question I wanted to ask you.
I'm afraid now.
Well,
I guess I got to do it anyway.
That's right. Well, it's always like, I'm curious to know, like, what's that one thing that's in the swim bag? You know, like, what's in the bag that you can't show up without? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, what's that for you, Coach?
Like, what's one thing in my bag that it doesn't matter when you look in there?
Like,
it's no
matter what time of year, no matter what meat or whatever, it's what's in the bag always.
My spray-in conditioner.
All right. That's a good one. I like that
Hair gets tangled. Hair gets tangled.
It sure does.
Yeah. How about you, Big Tuna?
I got to go with baby food.
Baby food.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, you got to have a quick hit of energy.
We did talk about that.
Yeah.
When we said, what is our go-to snack?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They're always in there. They're probably expired, but yeah, they're always in there.
That should be one thing that you check, right?
Maybe once a year.
The expiration date.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the clean out.
Well, I think it might be time to move on to the drills.
All right. Well, in drills, we got a little swim trivia, right? So we're doing this with our fancy clock here.
Big swim clock.
That's right. So
it's 3 questions in a minute.
Or as many as we can get.
Yeah, sometimes we only get like 2.
You want to go on the bottom?
Yeah, when we say we go on the bottom, we start on the 30.
On the 30.
All right.
Am I going first?
Are you going first? Probably.
All right.
And we're getting close. All right.
Okay.
What is the range of optimal temperature for a competitive swimming pool?
I feel like I should know this answer.
Well, we know when it's off.
Yeah. My body knows when it's off, but I don't know what the number is. I'm going to say between 76 and 80.
Probably 76 and 82.
Really?
Yeah.
All right,
but if you
pretty
you don't want to
close.
get too warm, because if it's too warm, it's
Swim cap off time.
yeah. When we start to sweat and you don't realize it, but you can sweat in the pool.
Yeah, you
we
really
better get
can.
moving. You better
All
ask
right.
me a question. This is
Okay.
why we can't answer too many questions.
All right, so here's a good one. Who is the first men's swimmer to have been indicted into the university? Inducted.
I hope he's not been indicted.
Yeah, that would be bad. Indicted.
Go back. Start again.
Who is the first men's swimmer to have been inducted into the University of Richmond's Athletic Hall of Fame?
Let me think here. They're the Spiders.
They are.
I'm going to say George Edelman.
How did you know that?
Well, I did know that.
That is correct.
That is correct. And I
All
can't
right.
wait to hear more from him in just a few minutes.
Well, I think that's the perfect segue into our social kick.
Right on. Here we go.
Here
into
we
our
go.
social kick with George Edelman.
That's right. Thanks to our host and sponsor, First Aid Aquatic Center, a nonprofit organization with a mission to be Delaware's premier aquatic complex, building community through education, competition, and wellness, and a vision to position Kent County as the Mid-Atlantic's hub for aquatic advancement. Well, welcome, George Edelman from Edelman Spine and Orthopaedic Physical Therapy. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
I'm excited to talk to you. I get to see you at the pool every so often, but I feel like I get to ask some really good questions today.
I feel like I'm in the presence of greatness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Your podcast is so popular. I'm thrilled to be a part of it.
We're so happy to have you. So glad that you would be on our podcast, and welcome to Big Tuna and the Squid. Big Tuna, I know that you had a lot of questions for George. Especially,
do.
You often ask questions on the pool deck, but now we get to corner him.
I do.
Very
Yeah,
specific
your captive audience, George. Well,
That's right.
My first question for you is, what's the biggest misconception coaches or athletes have about shoulder injuries?
Shoulder injuries in the swimming athlete. Good question. Boy, I would say the biggest misconception is that many people think that swimmers are loose jointed or hypermobile, or that they have to have extraordinary range of motion to be an elite swimmer. And it couldn't be far from the truth.
Wow, I probably had the same misconception.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are so many things that are misconceived in sports. So that's a good point. Thanks for sharing.
Here's another good one.
Yeah.
The repetition in our swimming, the shoulder repetition, the excessive repetition, the myth is that repetition leads to instability. Not true. It's been discounted in the research.
Okay.
Wow, I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
Here's another good nugget.
I love nuggets.
The repetition doesn't lead to injury, but flawed mechanics leads to injury.
Which
That
goes
makes a
back
lot of
to
sense.
what we were saying before about
Yeah.
perfect practice. If we do
Right.
something flawed,
I remember do it scared.
do it scared and perfect.
There you go.
Perfectly scared. No.
Well, it's always good to, once you learn proper swim form, it's
It's so important.
discipline to stay in that. That's a really good point. There was something interesting I saw. 70% of Olympic athletes, this is a wild stat, that they also suffer from, day-to-day joint pain just like the rest of us do. How does that look like for them? How does that maintained?
Right. Okay. So just to clarify, there's two landmark studies that were published, one in 2016 that looked at the Olympic team, the U.S. Olympic swim team that traveled to Beijing in 2008. And 70% of those swimmers had rotator cuff tendinosis.
Okay.
That same study was duplicated by the Australians in 2016 prior to the Rio Olympics. They found the same exact percentage that the supraspinatus presented with tendinosis, 70% of those athletes.
Wow.
Here's the kicker. 83% of them were pain-free.
Interesting.
So they didn't even realize it.
They didn't know it. So the ultrasound imaging of the tissue discovered the tendinosis, but again, 83% of them were pain-free.
We were having that conversation earlier and talking about how is it possible to be injured and continue in doing a repetitious exercise or doing something incorrectly and not even know that you're continuing to make that injury worse?
I think with that number, it's got to be.
It has to be.
Right.
Wow.
Now, the other important thing that's just another nugget, since we're doing nuggets today, the amount of volume, the swimming volume has changed in the sport. So if we look at the elite level swimmers and what the number of yards they were training in a week in the 80s and 90s, they were training between 80 to 100,000 yards a week, right? Now the training is a lot smarter. And the coaches are now, they're producing workouts where they're training, the elite swimmers are training somewhere between 60, 65, 70,000 yards a week.
Wow.
So we're looking at 30% reduction.
But one could argue that the times are still dropping.
Exactly. When you look at the U.S. Olympic team that went to Tokyo in 2021 and then in Paris in 2024, they were the healthiest of all our teams representing the U.S.
Staggering.
It is staggering and fast.
Yeah.
Fast.
Right.
Less is more.
Swimming
Yeah,
fast.
less is more.
And the injuries are reducing.
So maybe it's like we were talking about, intentional practice is not always about a lot of tons of yardage, but more targeted yardage.
Right.
And doing it properly, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Slow down to speed up sort of thing. Interesting. Thanks for sharing that.
I think too, I remember one time I had a shoulder injury where I did something outside of the pool.
Yeah.
Where I reached, in a car and reached behind me to pull up a big heavy bag, like a
happens
book,
all the time.
and to bring it into the front seat. Don't worry, I was parked. I wasn't driving at the time, but I was just trying to lift it into the front seat and really hurt my shoulder and ended up in physical therapy. And that impacted my swimming, but it wasn't because of swimming. It was just something that I made a poor choice in the moment instead of actually just getting out of the car, pulling out the bag correctly instead of just, I just can do it as though I'm, 20 again, which I'm not. But yeah, it's also important to think about what you're doing just movement wise. You don't always think about that.
No.
If somebody has 10 minutes for dryland, what should they prioritize, especially if maybe or even stretching before getting into the pool to help with injury prevention?
All right, 10 minutes. They definitely want to do a dynamic warm-up before they enter the pool. And then you've got 10 minutes. There's 2 muscle groups you want to focus on. So if we look at a 2-hour workout, the external rotators of the shoulder work eccentrically to keep the humeral head centered on the glenoid fossa, counterbalancing the strong internal rotators, right? That's another one of our nuggets today. The external rotators can fatigue in a 2-hour workout, and it's one of the most common muscle groups that gets irritated in the swimming athlete. So if you got 10 minutes, you definitely want to focus on training the external rotators.
Okay.
How would they do that?
Yeah.
Well, what we plan to have is a playlist that everybody can click into to see the 2 or 3 best injury prevention exercises that you can complete in a 10-minute workout.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Second muscle group is that's a serratus anterior is known to fatigue in the swimming athlete. There's a great article out of Germany by an investigator named Bach that found that 82% of their swimmers, the serratus anterior fatigued in a 100-minute workout. So you got 10 minutes, you want to hit the external rotators and you want to hit the serratus anterior.
Where's that at?
I was going to ask the same question. For those of us who are not medically inclined, where would that be?
Right, pretty technical. The serratus anterior sits on the undersurface of your shoulder blade, and it helps to keep the shoulder blade on your rib cage.
Wow.
Seems important.
Very important.
All right.
One of the first muscles to fatigue in a long workout.
Makes sense. I get a ton of fatigue in my shoulders when I work out, but I notice that when I do, impactful stretching and a couple other things that I pepper into my, 10-minute stretch before I start a good, length of swimming, it definitely helps.
Sure. We're all busy. We don't have a lot of time. So to answer your question, you got 10 minutes. You want to do a dynamic warm-up. You want to strengthen your external rotators and the serratus anterior.
I love it.
Awesome.
It's a good recipe. Thanks, George.
Oh yeah, that's a beauty right there.
And that's not just, people listening to our podcast may think, well, I'm not an Olympic swimmer. That's for anybody, correct?
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, that's for anybody. So, well, we might all be Olympic hopefuls.
Right.
Yeah.
Up here, I
right
know
here.
I am.
Right
That's
here.
right.
I am a hopeful.
Well, aren't you going to nationals in a couple of weeks?
We talked about that last time. Yeah, we're going at the end of April, beginning of May. Looking forward to it. And I got to make sure that I do my appropriate dynamic warm-up.
That's right.
Yeah, to reduce that injury. How do I know if I'm pushing too hard, George? Because I know that sometimes we, especially, and I know it's individualized, right? So you're a great swimmer. We love watching you swim. I know that I am not at the caliber of George Edelman yet, but
there's still time.
But there's still time, yeah, because we have U.S. Masters national swimmers in their hundreds that have competed.
I love those. I love seeing those guys race.
So inspiring, and so there's still time for me. But how do I know if I'm pushing too hard for me, or how does Big Tuna know if he's pushing too hard for his ability or his body? Or any of our folks out there?
That's a good one. If we think about injury prevention, right, athletes need to be true to themselves, and they need to recognize when they've kind of lost that oomph. And so that's one of the first telltale signs before a hot tendinopathy develops, is that athletes will lose that oomph. In the pool, they'll feel it, or if you're a jumper or a sprinter, you'll just recognize you don't have that oomph. And the mistake that athletes make is they train harder rather than recognize that they have to maybe pull back, maybe deload a bit, change the workout.
A lot of discipline in that type of structure. So they really need to be aware.
Right.
Wow.
And I think it's counterintuitive because, well, at least I know when I was growing up, it's, get out there, keep going.
It's
you got it.
Yeah,
keep doing it. And also if you have a competitive spirit and you're seeing everybody else doing something different, you think, oh, I can do that too. And not that you can't, but maybe at that moment in time, it's time to back off a little bit.
We say comparison is the thief of joy a lot here because it's a good marker to help you refocus on yourself while you're swimming, because there's a lot of outside influences that can kind of take us away from the task at hand. But
yeah, we forget that the competition is against ourselves.
Yeah.
And also, like we were talking about with Denise, celebrating those milestones as we make those milestones.
Celebrate the small victories
and the big ones. We love all kinds of victories. Yeah. Well, George, is there anything else you'd like to tell us that we haven't touched on yet that you think would be helpful to our viewers?
It'll come to me. Maybe I should start with the Richmond Spider cheer, since we started with the Spiders, right?
All right.
Are we going to?
Spider.
Nice.
Do you know why they're called the Spiders?
Why?
In 1876, the baseball team, the outfielders were catching the pop flies like a spider web.
Huh.
Prior to that, they were the donkeys. I think I like the Spiders better.
That is kind of cool.
That is a cool story.
1876.
It's got some history to it.
A lot of history.
So yeah, let's see. We've got the dynamic warm-up. We've got that 10-minute dynamic warm-up, working the external rotators, the serratus anterior. You want to be true to yourself. Recognize maybe when you're fatiguing, because we know when swimmer fatigues, their stroke breaks down. When the stroke breaks down, that's when the injuries start rolling in.
What a great advice. And we've seen that happen
Yeah.
in ourselves. Yeah.
Right.
Man.
Yeah.
George, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks
Absolutely.
for coming on the Big Tuna and the Squid. And now it's time to dive off those blocks. Wow.
Yeah, that was incredible.
That was incredible.
He's such a wealth of knowledge.
He really is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I have to admit, I didn't understand some of it, but
That's okay.
I loved every minute of it because I know that I need to be more dynamic in
Yeah.
my warm up. Absolutely.
I think being mindful of it, from the beginning is important too.
Mindful or intentional, do I dare say?
That's one of those
What
words
are those
for
words? Yeah. Today it's about being intentional,
me.
right?
Yeah, there was a lot of that going around. That's okay. I think that he wrapped it up beautifully, right? It's about the being aware of your body and knowing when to say enough is enough, and kind of calling that out for yourself was the thing that I took away, because I really struggle with that. I say comparison is the thief of joy because I'm like, I need blinders on in the pool. I pay attention to who's passing me and why are they doing that, instead of just staring at the line.
Oh, I know. Yeah. I do the same thing.
Okay.
I think we all tend to compare ourselves, but you're right. I do think that quote is so important because what we can do is compare ourselves. Like, where were we last week? Are we improving? But also, what does our body feel like?
Yeah.
I don't build muscle very fast.
No.
And so I can't compare myself to, we have a lot of swimmers who are extremely strong, naturally strong and build muscle fast. And I can get myself spun up in that, knowing that I don't have that same body type. And so
Yeah.
I shouldn't have the same expectations, but we don't think about that. And so sometimes I think those injuries come when we do compare ourselves and push ourselves to something that our bodies are not normally.
Unrealistic expectations from ourselves. So it has a lot to think about there, but everything that he said is very correct. And it sounds like it's kind of easily preventable if you have intention.
Correct. But I think that's why it's so important that we had him on today, so that we all of us, it doesn't matter if you're an Olympic swimmer, if you're a beginning swimmer, that we can all take that information and help to prevent injury.
For sure.
Absolutely.
For sure.
And enjoy swimming.
Absolutely.
But you know what?
What?
I'm sure after this segment, we're going to get a lot of questions. So should we?
Oh, I think this is the perfect time to go off from the bleachers. I do have a
From the
good
bleachers.
question that we got from Stan.
Ooh.
Stan from Alpharetta, Georgia says, Big Tuna and the Squid, love what you're doing there. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Stan. Love to hear more about cross-training.
Ooh. What a great question.
That is a good question.
Yeah,
What do
well,
you think about cross-training?
I think George was a great segue to that too. And if we remember also Hannah, when we had in the first episode talking about triathlon training. And so
Are you going to talk about a bike and running again?
I don't know that my joints will handle it. But absolutely, though, I mean, if we're talking about cross training and dryland, and we can work on our lung capacity, our stamina by doing things like running and biking, but also doing dryland exercises and something that I don't like to do, which I just alluded to, which is strength training. The squid tends to have squigglier arms, but needs to be solid.
That's right. Solid cephalopod, right?
That's right, a
That's the
solid-
goal.
Speaking of which, there's another question.
Okay.
Ooh.
Is this mine?
This is for you.
Okay.
Melissa from Milford, a local, asks, "Hey, Big Tuna, what's up with that shirt?"
Well, I am too local, and my wife's name happens to be Melissa. So,
Curious.
not drawing any comparisons here, but
what is
why don't
up with
you
that
just,
shirt?
Stay tuned till next week. We'll see what I wear then. How about that?
That's a little frightening.
Yeah.
I do love it, though.
Oh yeah, I love
You
a
never
good
know.
challenge.
Yeah, you never know what's going to happen on Big Tuna and the Squid.
never
That's
do.
for sure.
You never do.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well,
I think this was an amazing episode.
it was. I do love. I've been learning so much. I think I've gotten new wrinkles in my brain if that's possible.
It's good to, I think that you should learn something new every day.
And I am.
And I am too. In fact, I'm going to have to go to Google and look up a couple things as soon as we're done here.
Yeah, definitely don't want hot tendinopathy.
No, nobody wants hot tendinopathy.
No, not a thing that
right.
I want. Well,
we're signing off.
we're signing off until next time on the pool deck.
Big Tuna and the Squid.
Say see you later, and don't forget to click like and subscribe. If you enjoyed today's episode, you can support that mission by checking out the link in our bio to learn more, get involved, or make a contribution. You can also find First Aid Aquatic Center on your favorite social media platform and follow along as the vision continues to grow. Keep swimming, and we'll see you back on deck with Big Tuna and the Squid.